What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I took a week off. I apologize, but my family and I went on vacation out of the country. No access to internet. It was amazing. Great for my mental health. I highly recommend it. Before we jump into the video, I just want to thank our sponsor, Bioprotein Technology, the makers of BioPro Plus. This is an amazing product that I've been using for months. I'll put more info down in the description. I highly recommend checking them out. Can't recommend it enough. All right. This clip is the interview that Andrew Tate recently did with the BBC. You guys have probably already seen it all over the internet. It's gotten a ton of views, and as always with Andrew Tate, generated controversy on both sides, but in my opinion, makes the BBC look pretty bad. I'm not going to go into too much detail. Let's go ahead and jump into this thing, and you guys can be the judges of what you think, but I think it's created a lot more Andrew Tate fans. Let's get into it.
Now, the BBC has questioned the controversial social media influencer Andrew Tate at his home in the Romanian capital, Bucharest. Tate is under house arrest and being investigated by Romanian prosecutors for accusations including rape, human trafficking and exploiting women, which he denies. The BBC challenged him on whether his views about women broadcast to his millions of online followers harmed young people.
Just really quick, I'm pretty sure the charges of have already been dropped. So that's a bit disingenuous. The judge threw those charges out. I'm almost positive.
People, as many teachers and police officers claim. Well, the interview, which had no set conditions, was Tate's first since being released into house arrest from police custody last month. Lucy Williamson reports now from Bucharest.
We are doing an interview with you because you're facing some very serious allegations.
Correct.
Rape, human trafficking.
Yep.
And also because there's a great deal of concern about the things you say and the impact that they have on young people, on women.
I don't think the concern's about the things I say. I think the concern is for the level of influence I have and the reach I have.
Let's start with the allegations. Have you raped anybody?
Absolutely not.
Have you trafficked anybody?
Absolutely not.
Exploited any women for money?
Absolutely not.
But you have admitted using emotional manipulation to get women to work in the webcam industry for you.
No. We have an open criminal investigation. I am absolutely and utterly sure I'll be found innocent. I know the case better than you. I know it intimately and you don't. I have seen all the criminal files and the evidence against me and you haven't. I know the truth of what happened and you don't. And I'm telling you absolutely and utterly, I've never hurt anybody, that the case that's been put against me is completely and utterly fabricated. And I'm never going to be found guilty of anything. And it's very difficult for me to answer your in-depth questions because we're sitting here inside of the territory of Romania. I'm beholden to the Romanian legal system, and I'm not going to incriminate myself.
Let me read you then what you have said about what you have done.
Sure.
You have said, my job was to meet a girl, go on a few dates, sleep with her, get her to fall in love with me to the point where she'd do anything I say, and then get her on webcam so we could become rich together. I
don't think that's what I personally said. I think
that's exactly what you said on your website.
No, I've never said that. That's something that you found on the internet. Doesn't mean I've said it.
In your words.
And again, once again, if any female on the planet has a problem with me, I strongly recommend her to go to the police and try and pursue me for criminal charges. I'm actually
So one thing I should add, this is 12 minutes. This total interview put out by the BBC, and that's including the intro that had the gentleman talking about it a little bit at first. Andrew Tate smartly recorded the whole thing and put it up on Rumble because he doesn't have a YouTube channel. He put it up on Rumble and it was like 38 minutes or something like that. So the BBC has cut out a ton of stuff. I've watched the one on Rumble and I can already see a ton of things that they've cut out that just paints him in a more negative light, the way they've edited it. And it's very disingenuous. And this is a big problem with mainstream media and a lot of the issue people take with mainstream media. And I think it was brilliant that Andrew recorded it himself and released the full unedited version. I mean, that to me just speaks to someone who doesn't have anything to hide. I mean, he's speaking very frankly here. He's like, look, if you're a female who wants to accuse me of doing something, I strongly encourage you to come to the police. I don't think a guilty person would say that. Now, I have small issues with Tate's message. I think wholesale, it's a very positive, very impactful, great message for young men. But, you know, some of the things I'm a little more in favor of monogamy, for example, than Tate. And, he supports, if you're a high value male, it's not a problem if you cheat. And I understand the biological underpinnings of his argument, but I will say that I disagree with him on that because personally, I believe in monogamy in the family unit. But everything else the guy says, I fully support. I mean, that's why young men are so attracted to his message. He talks about believing in God, working hard, bettering yourself, being an impact for good on this planet, all of these things, protecting and providing for the woman in your life. All of these things are very positive things. And it's very interesting to me that the media has demonized him for it. So I just wanted to add that because it's already very obvious that the BBC has cherry-picked this interview to paint him in a more negative light. And I would encourage you guys to watch the full-length one as well.
Such a nice person that
the
I've never had
BBC
anyone
has
come at
spoken
me.
to somebody since your arrest who says exactly those things, that with you it's all manipulation, there's an ulterior
Is this
motive
Sophie?
to everything
Is
you
this
do.
Sophie? Oh, it's Sophie, the fake name, no face. No,
I was so
the
intent
story that
on
was
wanting to
invented.
please him and wanting him to be happy that I was just kind of, okay, do whatever you want.
And what is she
That's
accused? Has she
coercion.
accused me of a crime, this imaginary Sophie?
She's making the point that there is
Has she accused me of a crime?
emotional or psychological manipulation.
I've asked you a question, and I've allowed you into my house.
I'm asking you a question.
Correct, but you're not the boss here, because I've allowed you into my house.
I'm asking you the questions.
Correctly, and I'm telling you.
You get to decide the answers.
No, we're equal here. I've allowed you into my house. You don't come here with a position of authority. I'm doing you the favor as legacy media, giving you relevance by speaking to you. And
I mean, it's true. The BBC knows well and good that getting this exclusive interview with Andrew Tate is huge for them, and he's absolutely right here. And you can already tell that this journalist is being extremely combative, and they have this anonymous source who claims not that he committed a crime, but rather he's manipulative. Now, let's accept that as being true. Being manipulative is not a crime. In fact, I would venture to say there's a pretty large double standard as far as that goes, because if this were a woman who said that she convinced powerful, wealthy men to fall in love with her and she benefited from their wealth, our society would accept that for the most part. I mean, that is an archetype that spanned decades and centuries of time, right? We have no problem with that. In fact, these days, on third or fourth, I don't know what wave we're on, of feminism, it's like no big deal, right? Like, go out there, do your thing, girl. Use your body to your advantage if you need to, all this stuff. So not only are they talking about some anonymous source that can't be verified, but she's not even accusing him of a crime. She's saying that he's manipulative. Well, I mean, even if that's true, being manipulative isn't a crime. And at the end of the day, this person went along with it. Why? Probably because she saw a reward in the end. I mean, even this quote that the journalist took, supposedly that Andrew said, it ended with, "We get rich together." So take that for what it's worth.
I'm telling you now, this Sophie, which the BBC has invented, which there's no face of, nobody knows who she is.
The BBC did not invent
Of
her.
course not. And because you never invent anything. And she's not filed criminal charges against me. What are we talking about here? What is she saying?
We're talking about emotional manipulation
Has she-
into the sex industry for your financial gain.
Absolute garbage.
I'm describing women who are going to court to accuse you of rape and human
Sophie hasn't
trafficking.
gone to court. Sophie doesn't
and
exist.
I'm describing women who have spoken to the BBC at length.
Sophie doesn't exist.
And other media organisations about what they say is emotional manipulation and coercion. And I'm quoting back to you your own words where you describe
They're not my words.
coercion
They're words
and emotional manipulation.
They're words you found on the internet, and Sophie doesn't exist.
On your
so let's move on to the
website,
next
in
subject.
your voice.
Move on to the next subject.
No, I think I'll stick on this one for a minute. So there's other places in that same website where you say you get girls to fall in love with you and they do it because they love you, because they want to do what you say. Convincing women to take part in some kind of business arrangement doesn't work long term because they're emotional. You've got to get them to fall in love with you. That's coercion, that's emotional manipulation, that's abuse.
What you've found are clips from the internet, some text from the internet, and you're going to sit here and tell me that that's the reason I should be
Your website, your words.
It's not my website.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. Check my website. Next.
It's the website you've taken down, and I wonder why those comments have been taken down.
No website's been taken down. My website is the same, and it's been the same for a very long time. You are accusing me, I'm guessing, what you're trying to say is you're accusing me, and you're trying to say that I'm guilty of the things I'm accused of, and that I'm emotionally manipulating people.
I'm saying that you have said you emotionally manipulated people here for your own financial gain.
No, absolutely not.
It's not only about the criminal allegations. It's a much bigger issue. You've got children's organisations in the UK, you've got rape organisations in the UK, you've got the police naming you by name as someone who has a harmful influence on children and on women in the UK and elsewhere because of the things you say, because of the way you present gender relations, the way you say men should treat women.
That's very upsetting. And the reason that's very upsetting is because I know that's not true. I'm genuinely a good person. I believe my impact on the world is positive.
The reason we're asking you about these comments is because we've got the chief executive of Rape Crisis naming you individually as spreading a dangerous ideology of misogynistic rape culture.
Absolute.
It's the comments you make that are leading people to say things like this.
Absolute garbage.
National organization.
So I have never heard Tate say anything in support of rape or encouraging rape. Once again, all I've ever heard him talk about is positioning yourself as a man in this world to be of high value and to protect and to provide. It's just crazy to me that she's saying this because, again, I mean, maybe I've missed some content where he's encouraged rape, but everything I've seen has been him advocating doing the things as a man that will make you more desirable to women, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's essentially the whole game. That's essentially the whole race and battle that is life, making yourself desirable to find a mate in this world, to find a partner, to protect and to provide for and to build a family with. I'm dumbfounded that they're saying he encourages culture. I've personally seen no evidence of that. If you have, comment down below, but that's pretty crazy to me. And also, once again, they cut out the part in this interview, and you can watch it on Rumble because he recorded the whole thing, where he says explicitly the charge has already been dropped by a judge because there was absolutely zero evidence of it.
Organizations who are saying that are blaming you for increasing levels of misogyny, schools that are saying they are having increased incidents of girls being attacked, of female teachers being harassed.
If that was
by
true,
pupils because of you and your teaching and your influence.
That's absolute garbage. I have never, ever encouraged a student to attack a teacher, male or female, ever. I preach hard work, discipline. I'm an athlete. I preach anti-drug. I preach religion. I preach no alcohol. I preach no knife crime. Every single problem with modern society, I'm against.
But
I'm teaching young men to be disciplined, to be diligent, to listen, to train, to work hard, to be exactly like me. And I'm saying that if men grew up like me, which are hardworking and diligent and some emotional control and stoic, we're going to have a better society, not a worse society. To sit here and say that schools in England, which is a failing nation, which has knife crime going through the roof, violence going through the roof, men's mental health going through the roof, and they're going to all blame me because I appeared on the internet 1 year ago.
You sell an image of success.
Disingenuous. It's disingenuous.
You sell an image of financial success with a Bugatti and a cigar, but it comes with a side order of misogyny.
How does having a Bugatti and a cigar come with misogyny?
I am asking you about things that you...
You notice she clearly evaded that question because it's true. They hate the fact that Andrew supports traditional gender roles. And look, you can hate that all you want, but that's not encouraging misogyny, all of these things. And he's exactly right. I've only ever heard what he just said there. He encourages stoicism, controlling your emotions as a man, working hard as a man, taking care of your body. It's still crazy to me that the Matrix, as he calls it, does have it out for this man. I mean, I don't know if it's just because he's amassed this level of popularity and reach that they fear that, but I do not see how he could possibly be blamed for in England. I mean, that is preposterous to me. Interestingly, on the other hand, here in the States, we've had cases of students abusing gender ideology to say that they identify as a female and then going to the female bathroom at the school and a girl. That has happened. Nobody's up in arms about that except for, of course, the people they demonize as being the far right. Meanwhile, a man who encourages sobriety, success, hard work is completely demonized. I think that's very telling.
You have said that have caused major national organizations, including the police, to worry about you by name. That's what I'm asking you about.
It's not what I said.
It's about what you have said that has caused such concern in the UK. And I want to put it to you that you don't really care about the harm it causes.
That's not true.
Because
that's not true.
Making controversial statements like this online has made you a lot of money.
Okay.
This woman has zero intention of doing an actual interview. She's clearly just attacking him. She just put words in his mouth. She just said, you don't care about the effect that it has on people. I mean, this is doing nothing but making the BBC look terrible, in my opinion, if you're a even fair-minded, logical thinking human.
So first thing, I genuinely am a force for good in the world. You may not understand that yet, but you will eventually. And I genuinely believe I'm acting under the instruction of God to do good things, and I want to make the world a better place. I genuinely believe my legacy is a good legacy, and I believe that eventually, when the legacy media catches up, they're going to understand I'm a good, positive influence. I'm not interested in damaging the world for money, because if I was interested in damaging the world for money, I could have sold drugs, or I could make rap music and encourage everyone to stab each other like all the drill artists do.
Or you could make controversial statements online that attract a lot of followers who you then direct to your website, where they pay to learn how to be like you.
I mean, I could make jokes online. Who doesn't? I mean, I could make a joke online.
Are you saying that all the controversial things you've said are jokes?
No, I'm saying that these organizations and the BBC who are going to sit here and pretend that I am...
This really reminds me a lot of the Kathy Newman interview with Jordan Peterson, where they just keep putting words in his mouth. So what you're saying is, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. Listen carefully. I'm saying exactly this. Oh, so what you're saying is, no, I'm not saying that. Man, this is bad.
The face of damaging the youth is absolutely garbage. It's completely disingenuous.
It makes you money.
The reason, in fact, I've seen thousands and thousands of comments and have endless emails from women praising praising the fact that their sons are listening to me.
Does it not worry you?
The fact that
the things I'm saying, does it not worry you?
It would worry. Are you
not concerned about your influence?
It would worry me if I was genuinely damaging the world. But for you to sit here and say, Andrew, you've become the most Googled man in the world, you have billions of views, and one woman, is now saying that her husband is not the same man she wants him to be, when thousands and thousands of people are saying the opposite, well, then I would say
I've presented you with case after case after case, with quote after quote after quote of people who are genuinely concerned about the impact you're having, and you brush it off as if it's nothing.
No, what you have done is come here with an agenda, you've come here with loaded questions, you've come here with things taken out of context, you come here with things that you don't understand are satirical, and then you're going to also sit and say that one woman said that her boyfriend changed when he watched one of your videos. And then I don't know what you expect me to say to that.
Sarcastic and jokes. No, that's how you explain the comments you make.
For you to sit down.
Would you like to apologize for any of them?
For you to sit down.
God, this woman is terrible. I mean, so for one thing, Tate is sharp. He's articulate. I think she's intellectually outclassed by him in this, and she's really just making herself look awful. Once again, it's reminiscent of the whole Kathy Newman fiasco with Peterson years ago. And nothing she's saying is genuine or coming across as such.
For you to sit down, it's fine. No, it's fine. It's easy. For you to sit down and say that one woman said that her boyfriend watched an Andrew Tate video and now he won't do the dishes.
Schools.
Or whatever your argument is.
Police.
And that I'm somehow the worst, most dangerous man in the world because I have a car. Is just disingenuous. If you actually watch the things I say, if you actually watch my comments about women, I've done long podcasts for hours long about females, talking about protecting for them, providing for them, how I believe a woman should be treated in a relationship. I've done all of this.
Andrew Tate talking there to Lucy Williamson. Well, let's go straight to the newsroom, go straight to our education editor, Branwen Jeffries, who's there for us. And Branwen, I know that over the last recent while you've been talking to so many teachers about Andrew Tate. How concerned are they about the stuff he pumps out?
Matthew, teachers have spoken very vividly of how they are deeply worried about how the language, the attitudes, the behaviours that Andrew Tate models in his content are having a far-reaching influence on boys as young as 10 and 11 and certainly older teenagers. That, they say, is translating into a culture where casual sexism is normalised in UK schools, where the kind of language that you might hear in some of Andrew Tate's videos are then repeated by children back to teachers, and that, along with other online content, is contributing to sexual harassment in schools, to sexual assaults in schools.
In terms of what we were just listening to and what you've just said about concern from teachers, how are they actually combating all of that? And in terms of conversations you have with pupils, what sort of proportion roughly know about this sort of content, view this sort of content, are potentially influenced by this sort of content?
It would be hard to find a teenager in the UK who wasn't aware of Andrew Tate and his content, whether or not they've consumed very much of it themselves, and some of them will have done. He projects this image of success, of fame, of wealth, which very much appeals to some easily influenced young teenage boys, and alongside that they are absorbing some of the other language and attitudes that he's using. Now, schools have genuinely taken a view that they don't want to focus too much on him as an individual, but rather their approach is that they try to teach about respectful language and relationships, to try and give some sense of what is normally acceptable in society, and to build resilience in children so that they can look at online content, look at videos on different social media platforms, and distance themselves enough to make a judgment about whether those are behaviours they should be adopting. But schools say they are fighting an uphill battle against what teenagers can see online and on social media, and this is just one part of it.
So that's all they've shown of this interview. And remember, I said it's on Rumble. Tate put it on Rumble, I think like 38 minutes long. So that's how much they cut out of this thing, for one. So I encourage you guys to watch that. But secondly, while I'm sitting there listening to this education editor at the BBC talk about this, I can't help but think about the fact that they're going after Andrew Tate, whose message, again, is largely positive and a good thing for young men, encouraging hard work, encouraging taking care of their bodies, encouraging being a protector and a provider, and making yourself a high-value man, not letting your emotions control you, being stoic and fighting for what you believe in. They're attacking him, yet if you want to talk about negative influences on young people, man, I mean, why do they not care about the lyrics of rap music? And Tate even mentioned that briefly. Like misogyny and the mistreatment of women and glorifying fame and all of this stuff. If ever there was a place where that could impact children, like, think about it. Smack a bitch in her face, take her Gucci bag and her North Face off her back. That was the Notorious B.I.G. and Spit Your Game, right? Like, the lyrics of rap songs are orders of magnitude worse than anything Andrew Tate has ever said. Smack a woman, by the way, you're calling her a bitch, steal her Gucci bag, take her jacket away from her, but they have no problem with stuff like that, right? They have no, and look, I'm a fan of rap music. I love a lot of rap music, but if we're going to be honest and objective here, lyrics that glorify violence, gang violence, they want to talk so much about how Andrew is wealthy, lyrics that glorify, getting your money and treating women like objects. It doesn't get any worse than that stuff, yet they're not going after rap artists. In fact, they glorify them, right? So it's so transparent and so obvious that they have it out for this guy. It was a disingenuous interview. I think, again, it makes the BBC look bad. Let's look at some of the comments on this video. And by the way, this is posted by the BBC. And hold on one sec. I might have to adjust this here. Let's see. Okay, no. The fact that Andrew recorded this with his own camera to stop BBC from misreporting him is just genius. I've already mentioned that. I think that was a great move on his part. Look at this. Andrew Tate is the reason I got sober, got in the gym, and changed my life around completely. Have you ever heard anybody say that about a rap artist or pretty much anyone else in popular culture, an actor? No. He's the opposite of what the media tries to say he is. The fact they reduce a 40-minute interview down to 12 minutes is hilarious. And they didn't even reduce it to 12 minutes because they interjected their own clips there, probably 10 minutes of the interview with Tate. All right, let's see what else people are saying here. She walked right into the lion's den unarmed and unprepared. I agree. She did not research Andrew. Andrew did not study his debating abilities, did not watch his podcast, and did not understand the context in which this interview is happening. No wonder they cut a 38-minute interview down to 9 minutes. Yeah. And look, I'll give credit to the BBC. They're leaving comments on this video, and my guess is they're just going to get eviscerated in all of these. Andrew Tate is the reason I'm finally getting respect from my family, who originally had no respect for me because I used to play video games a lot. I used to have extreme depression and anxiety to the point I couldn't stop my thoughts from being negative when I'm outside and only felt safe when I was in my own room. Now I have much more confidence. I go to the gym, etc. You hear a lot of the same stuff, a lot of the same testimonies from people who follow Jordan Peterson. And I think it's no coincidence that Jordan Peterson is also demonized by the same people that demonize Andrew Tate. It's incredible how Andrew Tate manages to remain calm and effortlessly maintain the flow of the interview. What a genius. Let's just see if there's anything negative about Tate in here. I'm not going to go through all these. There's a ton of them. As a Muslim, I'm so proud of you, brother. Always remember a verse from the Holy Quran with the translation that says, if humans and the jinn meet to harm you with something, they will only harm you with something that God has written for you. The fact that media thrives on negativity is sickening. I agree. She was nothing but negative. She attacked him. She tried to get that controversial soundbite. I mean, it's so clear why mainstream media is quickly becoming antiquated, and the decentralization of media is such a good thing for society. It's crazy they even cut all the times he smiled because they want him to look really serious and angry the entire interview. Yeah, once again, watch the full thing on Rumble. They literally had to cut the interview to make Andrew look bad. Just tells you how trustworthy these news outlets are. 100%. You know, you can physically bring the studies and articles to him and show him that kids in schools are doing bad stuff because they watch or follow Andrew Tate. The fact that she only says children are misogynistic because of you and we are supposed to believe it at face value is ridiculous. I agree. Another one about them cutting the interview. You are the greatest man on the planet, Andrew. What is happening is that they want to bring you down because they felt you would wipe out their dirty deeds and that you would educate young people and keep them away from drugs and other things. This woman is a direct reflection of the journalists who destroyed journalism over the past decade. I mean, it goes on and on. I doubt we can even find any comment in favor of the BBC on this. We need more people like Andrew Tate. The fact that they try so hard to shut him down without proof shows you that the truth gets people pressed, but it is necessary. The truth will set you free. On behalf of my fellow Africans and our ancestors, we fully support Andrew Tate with all the might and will. Honestly, even the editors couldn't make Andrew Tate look bad in post-production. Man, I mean, it's just... All right, last one. She did an amazing job by convincing thousands of people that Andrew is a genuinely good person. All right. Like I said, I don't agree with everything Andrew Tate says. I agree with most of what he says. And that's because most of what he says is positive and encourages men to be men and encourages men to be responsible and encourages men to be their best selves. Like I said, it's incredibly telling that the mainstream media wants to demonize this just in the same way they've demonized Jordan Peterson and other men of their ilk. I think this did nothing but make Andrew Tate look better. I think that the BBC has beclowned themselves in this. I think that they look antagonistic, disingenuous, misinformed, and Tate absolutely wiped the floor with them, even in this highly edited, whittled down 9-minute interview. So I would encourage you guys, check out the 38-minute interview on Rumble that Andrew Tate posted himself. Unedited, he let the whole thing run. And I think, again, that's very telling. He was willing to run the whole thing. They had to chop it up and edit it down. Whether you love or hate Andrew Tate, I'll end with this. I think that this is very telling in terms of the disingenuous nature of the mainstream media and trying to craft a narrative that goes against what's genuinely a positive force in this world. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I love you. I appreciate you. Sorry I was gone for a week. The family and I went on a vacation out of country. It was much needed. Highly encourage it. I turned my phone off, didn't check it once, and it was great for my mental health. So love you guys. Until next time, keep your minds free.